the things I've come to realise in my life, just get the feet right down in that. Really, it just feels so wonderful. So, something that I've always been doing with friends whenever I've been with them, when we're walking around and we're walking down the boardwalk, and then we come to take our sandals off to walk in the sand. As soon as we step into the sand, there's a whole new world, a whole new sensual world. Our feet have an explosion of stimulation. And so I always say to my friends, I say, let me just stop you now, stop them in the midst of conversation and ask them, where's their consciousness now? And then they obviously lend themselves to thinking metaphysically, I'm present, I'm in the now, and maybe this sort of thing, because they're not feeling, they're only thinking. And so I said, well, feel your body, where's your consciousness? Yeah, here on the beach. I'm like, no, not getting it. And I don't know why people don't get it. Something very, very powerful happens to me every time my feet experience another dimension of sensation. How can your consciousness just not go pow into the feet and your feet go wow, the feet are enjoying themselves? So people, we keep our feet in prison all of our lives. We keep them wrapped up in socks and tight shoes, and they never get to see the light of day, let alone walk on the earth, and we get the electromagnetism going around through our bodies. It's really, really powerful. And that's another one of the things that I'm so connected to. Feet on the ground. Instant connection to cosmic God consciousness. And so with every single step, it's just a sensory explosion. When you go onto the soft, warm sand, hot sand, cool sand, then you go onto more coarse sand, then you go onto wet sand. And then when you tread onto sand which has only been splashed over at the height of the tide, maybe once, and there's a thin crust of dried sand on top of soft, fluffy stuff. And when you crunch through the crunchy stuff and go into the soft, it feels absolutely exquisite. You see, the feet are equally as sensory as the hands, and given time and training, they are very, very dexterous. You can see people playing the piano and painting and doing all different sorts of arty-farty stuff if they've never had any arms and they've learned to do it that way. So there are lots of states of consciousness, and I'm like, I'm struggling, but the more I learn about the human being is, the more I realise that we're all so very, very different. We've got different powers of perception, we've got different levels of cognition, we've got different expanses of consciousness. And so this is what consciousness does. Consciousness doesn't want everything to be the same. It doesn't want standardised human beings. What good would that be? Because it may as well just have one if that's all the experience it's going to get. No, it creates trillions and trillions of vastly different human beings with vastly different states of consciousness, so it can experience a whole lot more. You getting your heads around this stuff now, people? You see, we've got to start looking really, really metaphysical for the answers for this stuff. And when we do that, then invariably we find them. Because if we don't do that, if we just go, it's just genetics, it's just illusion, or evolution, it's just upbringing, it's just, well, how dare anybody say it's just? That's what I say. How dare anybody say anything is just when this whole thing is a miracle? Nothing is just, people, unless it's just a miracle. If you want to dismiss the miracle as just a miracle because you're so used to miracles. Well, in one respect, the paradox is that we are so used to miracles because every time every single second of our living existence and our consciousness, it's a miracle, a miracle, a miracle, a miracle, a miracle. Everything's a miracle. So yes, we do get saturated by the miracles, and I suppose we can be forgiven for not really appreciating the cosmic miracle. But this is why spiritual awakening comes about, because I think that the cosmos is very much like me, because I'm the cosmos. I tell you I'm the cosmos, because I'm exactly the same as the cosmos. And the cosmos most certainly would get very, very disappointed with the automaton walking all over the world if they weren't appreciating things. And so it then creates a new level of consciousness for those who deserve it, you see. Lots of you are telling me I deserve this holiday. Why do you consider I deserve this holiday? What is it about me that deserves anything? That'll be interesting for you to tell me that. Why do you think I deserve it? Why do you think I deserve to be gifted this holiday? It's not even like I've earned the money to buy it myself. Oh, you deserve it. You've worked hard. I've not worked hard. Someone just gifted it to me. And so why do people consider that I deserve it? It'd be interesting to know. Maybe because you know that I absolutely appreciate every last second of it. And when you give something to somebody, or you do something for somebody, if they appreciate it, it means so much, doesn't it? It means so much. And you don't want pain, you don't want returns or favours, just for them to appreciate you knowing that they appreciate, that's a wonderful thing. It's a marvellous thing, because appreciation is it's something which really needs to be considered a whole lot more. Because in this day and age, with everything at our fingertips, appreciation is becoming a thing of the past. We really do just have to keep stopping. And this is what I do. Shh. If that isn't the God, it's most certainly the God of this world. It's the creator of this world. What's God supposed to be? He's supposed to be the creator, created human beings and all the flora and fauna. That did that. That and water, nutrients, the constituents of the cosmos. That's what did this, people. That's my God. That's the Jewish philosopher Spinoza's God. That feels right to me. He makes much more sense to me. It's much more beautiful. It's much more beautiful. It's not jealous. It's not murderous. It's not threatening. It's none of those evil things. How can God be evil? If God creates you and loves you, how can he have a hair on his head which is evil? That doesn't make sense, does it? No. So when you're alone under the stars and the sun and the atmosphere and the clouds, you don't feel no evil. You just feel God, people. You just feel God. So reflect on your appreciation and tell people you appreciate them. Show people that you appreciate them. Show animals that you appreciate them. Show plants that you appreciate them. Show the world that you appreciate them. You see, appreciation could be another word for love. Because when I'm reading this Way of Mastery, it's saying love this and love that and love this and love. Well, just supplant love with appreciation. Just supplant love with being blessed. Being blessed. I feel blessed in every single situation. So we can lose this meaningless concept of love, and we can supplant that so very, very loose, meaningless concept with something which has more meaning, Like, I am deeply, deeply grateful for this human experience. I'm deeply grateful for this holiday. I'm deeply grateful to be able-bodied and to be here. I'm deeply grateful that I'm not an automaton and I'm sitting in my hotel by the pool flicking through my phone for my entertainment. I'm deeply grateful for so many things. I'm just oozing gratitude. I love life. I love, I love, I love, I love, I love. So there you have it. I've said it. I love, I love, I love, I love, I love. It is love. There is nothing else but love. If you want to group everything together into a concept that potentially could mean everything, love your enemy. Well, if you love your enemy, you can't have any enemies, can you? Because otherwise you end up in a paradox. It doesn't make sense. So loving your enemy, well, they don't become enemies anymore. You love them. And so we can eradicate everything. And that's what this way of mastery endeavours to do. It endeavours to eradicate absolutely everything. And the only thing it leaves, it's like if you boil water and you look in to see, the constituents of water, heavy metals and stuff like that, you'll have a residue in the bottom of the vial, whatever you're boiling it in. Well, what's that residue of life? Love. It's love at the bottom of the test tube. So this is beautiful because it's big enough not to get lost. So people can really enjoy what it's like to be alone and have some solitude and be a little bit adventurous. But for most people, just seeing a building in the distance is all they need to enable them to really enjoy. Because if the building's disappeared, I'm telling you people, I've been there many, many occasions. When the buildings disappear, well, your fucking confidence disappears, that's for sure. And your insecurity emerges because you can't take anything for granted. When I was in Australia, travelling thousands and thousands of miles, I travelled 13,000 miles around that continent, and I went into places like this, which went on forever. And you had to drive like 300 miles just to get there. And there's nobody there. There's no gas stations there, there's no shops, there's no buildings. There is just sand dunes. And so on this particular one occasion, myself with the mother of my daughter, who was just a girlfriend at the time, we started climbing up these huge sand dunes, and I was writing our initials in the sand dunes, like 30 meters high and all that sort of stuff. And then we came to stop and just like we stopped clowning around and running around and jumping and diving and all that, and then we just looked around, and then we felt something very, very strange. It was kind of like a foreboding feeling that you shouldn't be here. And we considered at the time that it must have been some sort of sacred Aboriginal land, but most certainly it had a sacred spirit there. And so we went, let's get the fuck out of it. But we didn't realise it until we became absolutely still. But then after all these years, reflecting upon that, I'm wondering whether it was just because we were young and naive and we'd never, ever, ever actually been that alone before. And I think it was that aloneness that probably gave us those feelings of potential terror, because we just realised that we was actually, hang on, we are 250 miles away from the nearest town. That's the distances you can travel in Australia, by the way. Gas stations are every like 250 miles. It's unbelievable. You've got one stretch of land called the Nullarbor, which goes on for 3,000 miles. And it's just desert, and there's no cities there, and there's no towns. There's just the odd depot, for gas and water and stuff like that. So yeah, when we stopped and we felt nothing save for our own selves, and that was spooky. And that's why meditation is spooky for lots of people. Solitude is spooky for lots of people. Even if they are just like, I don't know, look, for instance, how many people will just go into their bathroom and turn the light off and make sure it's completely black and just sit there for an hour in a meditation? How many people would do that? And so if you open your eyes, you couldn't actually see anything. So you tape up the gaps in the door, or whatever. You do that sort of thing, so you're absolutely black. Because when it's absolutely black, people, the mind starts to play games, because the mind needs stimulation. It needs to see something. And what happens is when people stay in these blackened out rooms for several days, maybe a couple of weeks, they start to hallucinate seemingly real images, and their minds get all crazy. They lose absolutely all sense of where they are and what time it is, and even who and what they are, because they just don't know anymore, because they've got no reference, no form of reference, no visual reference, no audible reference. It's just the abyss, people. And so you go into the abyss, man, and then you really start to experience yourself. Anyway, let's go to the top here, shall we? And I'm always saying, doesn't matter where you are in the world, there's always something that's going to come over and destroy that piece. There's always a combustion engine, and I say if it's not a leaf blower, a still saw or lawnmower, it's a light aircraft. Sounds like we've got a helicopter. Yeah, here it comes. I wonder if they do helicopter trips over here. Oh, it seems to be going round. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the bottom of one of these dips like that one. Look at that one. How beautiful and pristine is that one? I'm going to go into that one and sit down cross-legged and have a meditation. Now, if you look at the side of that, it looks like something that you'd see on the moon, with all those cracks going off. Would you see that on the moon? I don't know whether you see that on the moon. You see lots of craters on the moon. Or maybe on another planet. There are some planets, some of the moons around some of these planets, they look like that. Completely barren like that, and looking just dry, and oh my goodness, foreboding, people. Wow, it's getting hot. In actual fact, I don't think I could stand it down here for more than a minute, because all the sun is reflecting down. But holy Moses. Holy Moses. And now we're here, you see. These are little beetle. We've got some like, maybe it's a bird, that is. Looks like it's a bird walking. And then these are like some sort of little beetle that's crawling all around. Isn't that wonderful?